Hello, everyone. This is the continuation of the magazine design assignment. I already recorded the videos for step 1, 2, and 3. This is for step 4. I will be going over the anatomy of the magazine article, the table of contents, advertising design, and the actual magazine design assignment. Okay, so 3 most important features to engage readers to stay on a spread or a magazine article is the layout, the overall layout, a main image, and a headline. The layout, again, is the entire um, design of the article, whether it's 1 page, 2 pages, or 3, and it continues to the rest of the um, to the back of the magazine. A main image. So if you are articles can be image heavy or text heavy or a combination of the two, but you should always have some kind of image that is going to grab the attention of the viewer, the person reading the magazine or the article. It could be a collection of images together or one strong image. Headlines, that's the obviously the name of the article, what the article is about. So the most visible parts are the outer upper sections of the spread. Use this to engage the reader. So we read left to right. So when you look at a page, your headline would typically start in the top left corner and then spread across the page or 2 pages if it's 2 pages next to each other. Never think of a page individually. Always design spreads as a whole, even if there is an ad on one side. So you want your article, your story, your images to stand out from the ad next to it. So um, articles you don't necessarily have control over what the ad space is going to be next to it. Advertisers will bias a specific place in the magazine, but the person writing the article or laying out the article doesn't always know what ad's going to next for sure, 100% sure going to be what's next to it on the page. So you want your article, the way you're laying it out, whether it's with a strong image, a big bold headline, or just the subject matter of the article itself, you want that to stand out and not necessarily compete with the advertising on the other side. And then plan the viewing direction. Usually, again, like I said, top left to bottom right. Don't overcomplicate the flow. By that, that means, don't, have the negative space or the white space around your images, your text, so that the viewer has some time to kind of look at the headline, maybe look at the image, and then start moving around on the page, trying to find where the beginning of the article is. That should always be clear as well, where the article starts. Um, but give your reader a chance to kind of look through the article, and then get acquainted where it starts and where it ends, and how to flow from one paragraph to the next. Principles of design, a few things to consider for your magazine layout. What is the purpose of the magazine layout you're working on? Is it image-based, story-based, formal, or funny? So if it's like a fashion magazine, those tend to be more image heavy and less text based. But if you have a magazine kind of like maybe Time magazine or um, uh, a magazine that talks more about current events, that one would probably be more text heavy than it would be um, image heavy. Those that are formal feel to it, funny feel, and that all again depends on the type of magazine that you're designing. Balance, you want to make sure your content is evenly distributed over the page or the spread. Uh, Again, that helps with the reader flow, looking at the overall layout of the article, gives them a chance to kind of take in what they're reading at that time or what they're seeing, and then move on to the next part of it. Um, Unbalanced layouts may feel uncomfortable, and the viewer may lose interest. If they're not a clear path for them from the beginning of the article to the end, they're probably just going to kind of move on to another article. You want to ensure that all graphic design elements are evenly distributed on the page to avoid clutter. So use effective use of white space to help you maintain balance. Hierarchy, do the pieces of information stand out? So again, if you're leading with an image, is it a strong image? Is it going to catch the attention of the reader? Or are you going based on a headline? Does it tell you exactly in that headline what the article is about? Is it bold? Is it big? Can they find it immediately when they're looking at it? So you want to always do what the most or least important information is. So like least important information may be like a photo credit. It still needs to be there, but that shouldn't be as large as say the body text or the headline. You're going to guide the readers through the most important information and key takeaways by using different font sizes, bold font for headline and byline, um, and consistent fonts in the rest of the body copy. So your headline size should be a little bit bigger, and then your byline and your body copy are going to be the same size, usually about 12 points. And then the headlines could be bigger than that. Is the text easy to read? Watch out for your point size and the font that you use. You're not going to use a script font for your body copy. That will never be that's not very legible. Script fonts are usually used for like invitations and that kind of thing, used sparingly, but you would not put a whole paragraph of your article or your entire text of your article in a script font. Color choice is also crucial, making sure that there's enough contrast between the copy and the background. I strongly suggest that you don't use a black background and white text. You can use it sparingly. So if it's like a little thing that you want to call out from the article, but I would not use the entire background as a black background and white text on top of it. It tends to be a little hard to read. And when it's printed, it kind of maybe shifts a little bit and the text will be blurry. And then you won't be able to read the article at all. Regardless of the purpose of your magazine, you want to ensure that you design readable magazine layouts. Because if the reader can't read what you put in the magazine, they're probably not going to continue looking through the rest of the magazine. Typography. Typography plays a crucial role. An article that you design could include text in the form of a story, interview, or opinion. So it's pretty vital to make sure that the copy you use is easy to follow and understand. And again, no script fonts for your text, for your paragraphs, your body copy. It should be a serif or sans serif font that's really easy to read. And that's why I always recommend using the Adobe, the Adobe font website, so you can type a line or a sentence, and you can see what the text looks like at different sizes before you actually select that font to use. Point size, make sure the size of your text is readable for your audience and consider if they will be looking at a page or on screen. Body copy, again, shouldn't be any larger than 12 point, but each font looks different at 12 points. So you kind of have to judge, again, what kind of font you're going to use. If you are designing a magazine for people that have visual impairments that need larger text, then obviously you're going to do bigger font size for that. But a normal size magazine would be 12 point. And also the same thing regarding your headlines. You want to make sure that those are large enough that they're visible. You immediately see that that's the headline, rather than the body text, because you may get a little confused. Line length, so that's how many characters are per line. So ideal line length is between 50 and 70 characters per line. Shorter lines will break too often, causing the reader's eye to jump back and forth way too often. So if you've ever read something and all of a sudden the sentence ends abruptly, but it continues next to the next line, but there's a big gap, it kind of jars you a little bit. You have to go to the next line, but you kind of for a few seconds think, oh, well, I got to go here, but what did I just read? So make sure that there are, not a large gaps in your line. Amount of copy, where possible, break up big blocks of copy. They can appear intimidating and might put the readers off. So you want to make sure that there's, a paragraph shouldn't have more than 5 sentences in it, maybe 2 to 3 sentences at the most. And then it jumps to the next paragraph. You continue your thought in that next paragraph. Use paragraphs, columns, and threaded text frames, and I'll show you the threaded text frames in design as well. Entry points, define clear starting points for your reader by visual hierarchy and features like drop caps, highlighted text blocks, usually for quotes or interesting parts of an article. The other thing too, to help give the reader where a next section would start are subheads. So that is like 1 or 2 points bigger than your body copy. It's bold or maybe a different color, letting the reader know that there's kind of a change in subject in that particular article. Okay, so parts of an article. You have headlines. That's the most important element of a magazine. It obviously tells you what the name, what's going on, what the subject matter of the article is. It can be various sizes, but should set bigger than the other text elements in the page. So for example, your headline should be like 16 or 18 points. Body copy should be 12 points. A headline should be interesting, meaningful, and compelling enough as it increases the chances of an article to be read. Sometimes a headline is just 1 word, 2 words, but it gets the point across as to what the article is about. A deck or a kicker is 1 or more lines of text found between the headline and the body of the article. It tells you a little bit more about what the article is about. And it connects the reader to the body. It's an interesting summary of the article. Usually those are set in a typeface that is sized somewhere between the headline and the body text. So your headline could be like 16, the deck could be 14, and then your body copy would be 12 points. Body copy, that's the main section of the article. This should be the first part you design in your magazine layout since it takes up the most space. Ideally, the body text in all articles in your magazine should remain consistent length. Bylines, that's who wrote the article. They should always be acknowledged. In a newspaper or magazine, it's who wrote it, and then if they're contributing to the magazine, if they're an editor, kind of what their role is in the magazine or newspaper. Subheads, I think I mentioned those already, but those break up the article into various sections or compartments, indicating what the next set of paragraphs is going to talk about. It can be in the same font as the body copy, but maybe bold or 1 point bigger. So it, immediately look at it, you're changing subject matter in the rest of that section. Pull quotes are like 1 or 2 lines pulled from the article that the writer feels or the editor of the magazine feels is important, wants it to stand out a little bit more. That would be usually 1 or 2 points bigger again than the body copy. so it stands out. You can put lines around it. You can put it in a box. You could put an arrow or some kind of design element around it, letting you know that it's a pull quote. Image captions, that tells who, what, when, where, and why of the image. Sometimes it's just, a date, a time, and this is what happened, but it tells you exactly what is going on in the image. Especially if there's people in the image, you want to make sure that those people are named in the image, in the image caption. And it also, the image captions would have the photo credits, who took the picture as well. Running head or section head. Some magazines don't have this, but the magazines that do would be placed at the top of the page. An example would be like Sports Illustrated, where they often talk about different sports. So you would want to maybe have it, the baseball section, the football section, soccer, whatever sport they happen to be talking about in that particular issue. And it helps you to navigate through the articles in the magazine easily. So on the table of contents, the table of contents may be arranged based on certain sections of the magazine as well. So those running heads or section heads would be notated on the table of contents as well. And then a folio line, that is the page number, publication name, date, month, section title, and website for the magazine. They're generally at the bottom. And again, it would include the page number, so you know which page you're on or what page a specific article is on. Folio should be placed on almost every page, except if there's a full page ad. And that helps the reader know where they're at in the magazine. The font size for those, there's typically not that big, not any bigger than body copy. It shouldn't be bigger than a body copy because then it'll interfere with that. Okay, so table of contents. So you think of your table of contents as a roadmap through the magazine. It tells the readers get an overview of the topics and where each article would appear in the magazine. This table of contents should include the story blurbs that you have on the cover. So whatever you put on your magazine cover should be referenced in your table of contents as well. Some of the key elements on a table of contents is the nameplate or logo, a tagline, so the tagline of the magazine, the date, volume number, and issue number. So the volume number would be how many years that magazine has been publishing, and then issue number corresponds to the month of the year. Contents list. Each item should include the title, caption, and page number. You always want to make sure you have a page number and then the name of the article. Cover art, credit line. So if there is a photo on the cover, you want to make sure that that's notated somewhere in the table of contents. It can be really small at the bottom, just as long as it's there on the page. Images of other articles. So table of contents can be a combination of text or images, or it could be all images, 90% images and like 10% text, or vice versa. Okay, so adding subtle visual elements that complement your magazine theme. So text boxes include concise and informative article descriptions within these boxes, thematic icons or illustrations. So if it was a cooking magazine, maybe that particular issue is talking about vegetables. So maybe having, a vegetable icon of a vegetable, different vegetable next to each of the articles, or if it's a talking about home improvement, different items that reference home improvement. Colored backgrounds or borders. So again, you would use colors like this sparingly. The darker colors, you would have to do white text on those. And again, they may be harder to read, but there's a lot of text on there. But if it's just one or two lines of text, having a colored background would be okay. And then embrace experimentation, play with different color palettes and font combinations to discover a unique visual style that embodies the essence of your magazine. So it could be the color theme could be based on the overall theme of the magazine. So if it's a spring cooking magazine, or the cooking magazine talking about springtime dishes, then you're going to have, lighter colors. If it's Christmas time, then you would have greens and reds and golds and those silvers, those kind of colors. Okay, and then advertising design. Advertising helps communicate a brand company message about products or services. Advertising helps people to remember brands, products, and services. This is certainly useful if one encounters them again in the future. And advertising also helps inform people who are looking for particular goods and services where they can find them. So most ads consist of the following elements: a visual, so an image, a line, body copy, a claim, and a sign off. A visual is the image, so which may be a photograph, an illustration, graphics, typography, or any combination of those. The line, which many people refer to as the headline, is the main verbal message. It can be positioned anywhere, not just at the top. So it can be in the middle, at the bottom, wherever you want to place it. Body copy is the narrative that further explains the advertising concept. Not a lot of body copy, but maybe it's, um, if it's a car, an advertisement for a car, it may have like a couple lines of text about some of the features of that car. The claim, also called the end line, tagline, or slogan, is the verbal message associated with the product. So the milk advertising before was "got milk" or "milk does a body good." Some slogan that or catchphrase that they use in advertising. They change over time. Um, but this establishes a theme and captures the spirit, quality, and benefit of the product. This is the strategy behind the sales pitch, is usually revealed in this claim. And then the sign off is the product or services logo, a photograph or illustration of the product, or both. Learning objectives: master the fundamentals, solidify your understanding of using InDesign tools for layout, text formatting, and image integration. Embrace design principles, hone your ability to apply essential design principles like composition, hierarchy, and color theory to create visually engaging and informative apps. Craft compelling messages, refine your skills in developing clear, concise, and persuasive messages that resonate with your target audience. And you're going to use InDesign tools to create a visually appealing layout, which includes a headline, body copy, imagery, and branding elements. So the branding elements are the logos, brand colors. Those are consistent with any company has specific colors that they use. Like McDonald's has the red and yellow. Subway is green and yellow. Tide is orange and blue, I believe. But each company has a specific color combination for their branding, and then any other visual elements that represent that brand. Okay, so this concludes this section for the magazine design assignment.